Bienvenidos al club. Aquí estamos de nuevo con una tercera entrega esta semana. Ya sabéis que nos gusta hacer especiales de vez en cuando y hace tiempo que no hacíamos una entrevista en inglés. Hoy tendremos con nosotros a Max Thorpe, jugador de la NCAA de Florida State. Con él hablaremos de todo lo que implica ser un jugador de la NCAA, su presente, su futuro, dentro, fuera de la cancha, su relación, por supuesto, con su padre, el gran coach Thorpe, David Thorpe. Ya sabéis, estas entrevistas las hacemos en inglés, posteriormente traduciremos, doblaremos y publicaremos las dos versiones. Aquí comienza capítulo 398 de NBAdictos. So we switch now to English. I have to say to all the American people and English-speaking people listening, sorry for my English, but I think we can understand. Max Thorpe, welcome to NBAdictos. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you for having me. I feel honored.
We'll talk later about your dad. I only have one question. You call him coach or dad?
Dad. He's dad.
You play for Florida State.
Uh-huh.
The other day you sneak in bringing in the podcast of your father, and I get amused because you talk about almost everything and everything knowing so well. So I talked with Coach Thorpe and told him I need to talk with Max. First of all, I want to speak first about all that involves NCAA, being a basketball player in college, because here in Spain, maybe we have, generally speaking, the view of the films and TV series that is like you don't have to study, you go party with pretty girls, and then time to time you play basketball. How is the life of a basketball player in your case in Florida State?
Well, I would say definitely with Florida State, our culture is they put school first. Like our head coach, Leonard Hamilton, he really stresses school first. So like our academics, we have to take very seriously. And then like for basketball, it's full season all year round. Like we don't really get many days off. We're playing every day. I mean, I'm going to go play pickup with the team in a little bit now. Like there's really no days off. It's kind of just you're hooping every day. You got to get your homework done. And any off time you can, you want to get in the gym, get your shots up, play pickup, kind of do that. So yeah, it's kind of just grind all year long.
So it's not all day in fraternities.
No.
You play for Florida State. I'm not an expert in NCAA. I'm learning in the past years, but for me it seems that there are like two kinds of college in the NCAA. In basketball, the ones that prioritize the academic part, even in basketball, the players to learn how to be better players, and then that programs that are thinking in the famous one and done. Is that real? Are those two kind of schools?
To a certain extent, I think all colleges are going to try to get the best players for their program, no matter who it is. So sometimes when you have players that are pretty certain to be a one and done player, you still are going to try and recruit them because you're trying to win every year. So even if you kind of assume that this player that you're going to bring in is going to be one and done, I think most colleges are still trying to recruit them because they're trying to win every year. And then you never really know what happens. And sometimes you might get a guy that's for sure one and done, but he might bring in other players with him that might not be ready for the NBA in 1 year. So there are some schools like Duke, for example, gets a lot of one and done guys, but I don't think they target just one and done guys. I think they're just targeting the best available players, and then that just kind of happened to be they get one good year and then they're good enough to go like a lottery the next year in the draft. So I wouldn't say colleges are trying to get one and done guys, but I think like the best colleges like Duke and Kentucky as of late, they kind of just get the best players coming out of high school, which translates to them just being one and done. But I wouldn't say that they're like specifically trying to be a one and done program.
Mm-hmm. We know that in the NCAA you have different rules than in the NBA, and also we have to be careful with the players that rise in the NCAA, and then the change to the NBA is not always easy.
Yeah.
I always put the example of Ryan Arcidiacono, MVP of a Final Four, and he is struggling to find his place in the NBA. Are you thinking about the NBA, or are you feeling the moment and enjoying all your journey?
Yeah, I'm just trying to enjoy my journey in college. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I'm in a great spot. I'm really happy where I'm at. So I'm just gonna graduate here. Gonna probably be at school for 5 to 6 years, get 2 degrees, and learn about basketball as much as I can, make as many connections as I can, and then once I graduate, try to get a job in the business world in the NBA, and hopefully take what I've learned from here and basketball-wise, business-wise, whatever it is that I've learned, coaching and all that, and apply it to a job one day, and hopefully I can work in the NBA on like front office, coaching staff, whatever it may be. And I'm assuming what I learned in Florida State will help translate to the real world when I get a job and I can make a difference, I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you later about the players of this next draft, because you played against a lot of them. But listening in your father's pod, I was thinking, wow, Max, I don't know if he's going to be able to go to the NBA as a player. But listening to you, I was thinking this guy can be a coach, can be a GM, can be a lot of things. And I feel that you are thinking that too.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I would love to be a coach. I don't really think that's my personality. I think I wouldn't be a good coach, honestly, at all. But I really would love to be a GM. I've kind of been thinking about doing that for a really long time. I think maybe like 10 years, maybe or so. I think I've really always thought like that's kind of what I want to do with my life. So everything I kind of do now is preparing myself for getting that job in the future. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can, just like analytics, basketball. I'm trying to like just grow my basketball mind and knowledge, and learn, make connections with like my players and teammates and coaching staff, and figure out how how pro teams run their team and run their stuff, and what works and what doesn't work. So like I'm using what I am in college now. I'm kind of taking this experience and like replaying it and rethinking about it, and what things I might do differently, or what things I like that I want to do if I run a team in the future. So like that's kind of how I'm approaching this. And one day, like that is my dream job, to be a GM for an NBA team. And yeah, it might not happen, but I mean, I could get close to it, or I could find something else I really like in the business side of the NBA. So I'm really taking that approach of learning everything I can, because I want to be like on the behind the scenes of a team, and like be a reason why we win a championship 30 years down the line from now. Like that's my kind of like my dream, I would say.
Mm-hmm. It will be great. We'll be watching you. How it was your season with Florida State? Because this weekend we have the Final Four, and you just say that in a while you're going to play with your teammates. How it was your season personally and as a team?
So this year was a little bit of a down year for Florida State. We had a lot of injuries to like throughout the season. I think we had like 8 or 9 guys, like rotation players, like missing games throughout the season. We were playing games with all 5 starters hurt. So we kind of hit a bump in the road that really hurt us. I mean, we were on top. We were winning our conference halfway through the season. We had a huge win streak going, and then we kind of just got struck by injuries and bad luck. So it kind of really didn't fall our way. We still finished like I think over 500. So we won half our games, which is okay, but it's nowhere close to where we want to be. But I mean, we can just use this season as a learning experience. We got a lot of young freshmen that were able to get a lot more minutes and a lot more playing time because of these injuries that we had. So we'll just retool, regroup, and then by next year, I mean, we have so many more experienced players now because they have so many more different positions that they were in this year. So, I mean, yeah, it kind of stuck this year because we just weren't as good as we expected to be, but it was just a little unlucky. And then we're going to take that unluckiness and fuel it to the fire for this upcoming season. And I think we'll be very well prepared because we had a lot of guys learn a lot more. They had to learn quicker because they were forced to play a lot more minutes and be put into situations that they might have not been put in originally as freshmen. So it will definitely help us down the road, and we're going to be really, really good, I think, this upcoming season because of all the experiences we had to go through last year.
Mm-hmm. And personally, how it was your season?
I mean, for me personally, I think I'm not really satisfied with how I play. So just gotta keep getting better, keep getting in the gym, getting shots up, playing. That's just how I feel. So.
Mm-hmm. Is there any player in your team that you are thinking this guy is going to make it?
There's a few, I would say. There's a few for sure. On my team right now, my favorite prospect would be John Butler, who's a 7'1" forward. He's very similar to Kevin Durant. Like, that's his NBA comparison. He can really shoot the ball. He can handle the ball, go score at any position, and he's 7'1", which is really hard to find. So he's really skinny and frail right now, but he's going to get a little bit older, a little bit stronger, a little bit smarter, and he's going to be a really big problem for in years to come for sure. So if that's a name to say, I would say look out for John Butler.
Okay, we take note. Then in a few years we can say we told you.
Yeah.
I want to know how it was. We said before you are Coach Thorpe's son. And he always remembered that his family is something that I love about him. That speaking about any subject, he always talks about his great family and how it was growing up, being a coach son, but with a person that is not. I don't know how to say it, but thinking about basketball 24 hours and wanting his sons to be something, because he told me in the show that on the contrary, he told you play another sport, enjoy something different. How it was?
I would say he does, like, growing up in my family, I think my dad does a really good job balancing being a coach and a father. I mean, yeah, we talked about basketball a lot. Like, we named our dog after a basketball. We called him Spalding. So basketball is still like a really big part of our family. But he does a really good job of balancing, like, when he needs to be a dad, when he needs to be a coach. I mean, he's always going to have that coaching aspect. So he's always going to try to, like, push you to be better. So me and my twin sister, we was always, like, pushing school. We was, like, always, like, challenged. He always challenged us to be better. My mom and my dad always challenged us, like, just to be better. And they were always on top of us, making sure we were like, doing what we needed to be doing. But yeah, I would definitely say a lot of love, like, a lot of like, deep talks whenever need be. Like, every time we got in the car, my dad and I, we would never, like, sit in silence or listen to music. It was always talking about what was going on in my life. It could be basketball, it could be social, it could be school. It didn't really matter as long as we had a conversation, which I think, like, growing up, I kind of didn't really acknowledge it as much. I kind of just thought, oh, it was normal. But now that I can look back on it, I can see, like, it caused our relationship to be so much better because we had all those deep conversations and we spent so much time together just talking about anything that now we can look back on it and, like, we knew so much about each other, and, like, he was so involved in my life and my sister's life. So I'm very thankful for it now. Like, I can look back on it and be like, he really was there for my whole life. Like, even he was so busy working, it didn't matter. He always found time to just to be there, to rebound for me, to help me with school, to help me with life. Like, it didn't really matter. No matter what was going on, he'd always be there. My mom and I were always there. So I'm very extremely thankful, I would say, for that.
Is great, and also the other part of that is that your dad works with a lot of pro basketball players, how it was. I don't know if you've been around the players that your father's coach, or not, and how it was that I was thinking, in my the 10-year-old Manu, wondering, what if one day three professional basketball players appeared
Yeah.
at home, or something. How it was growing up, being around pro basketball players.
I was so used to it ever since I can remember. Like I was going to the gym with my dad, like driving an hour and a half to the gym. It didn't matter. I was probably 6, 7 years old. I would go watch or rebound or whatever. Sometimes he would throw me in drills and I would pass to players. Like for as long as I can remember, just I was always around really tall, really good basketball players. So I think I kind of just got used to it. And like as I got older, I started participating with them. And I think probably by age 13 or 14, I was working out with them every day in the summer, every day on like in the off season. It didn't really matter. So I think I just kind of got used to it, but also I think it drove me a little bit because I saw like how good these players were. So I think it really brought out the best of me because I couldn't slack around them, like they were so good. And I felt like I had to bring my best every day because I didn't want to like stand out, I wanted to like fit in with them. So I think it really pushed me, like unintentionally really pushed me just to be a better basketball player because I was waking up at 7 a.m. every day in the summer to go work out with professional basketball players, So I think I kind of just got used to that grind and used to that work in the off season, and I think it really paid off.
You were like Draymond's son, passing the ball to Curry.
Exactly. Yep.
And not only in the field, not only playing basketball, being around all that pro players and talking with them is also helped to know the problems and the way of thinking of the professional players too.
Yeah, for sure. Just like hearing the way they thought about the game. So like when we were doing certain drills and they would explain like, oh, like this is what I'm imagining. This is what I picture here because this is what you get in a game. So it gave me a different point of view because obviously the NBA is a much different game than middle school basketball or high school basketball. So I was learning at I think a lot higher pace. I think my IQ was really high for a young age because I was hearing so many different like experiences and different people explaining what they thought. So I was able to really kind of balance that. And then like outside of basketball, just I kind of learned how to like handle myself professionally, like how to eat kind of right. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a great, my diet's not good at all. I will say that, but still like learn like how to handle myself professionally, like how to talk to people, stuff like that. I think I just kind of picked up naturally just because I was around so many older people like my whole life when I was younger.
Let's talk about the Final Four first, and then we talk about players. I like to be like that. First the team, then the players.
Yeah.
I think it's important in basketball.
For sure.
This weekend we have the Final Four. We have Kansas versus Villanova and Duke versus North Carolina, and the last games or game of Coach K.
Yeah.
How do you see this Final Four? Are they the best four teams?
Or I wouldn't say they're the best four teams, but I mean they got hot at the right time. So I mean, you can make an argument, I guess. I mean, Villanova is amazing. They just lost a starting shooting guard, though. He tore his Achilles, I believe, in their last game. So that's a really big blow for them. But I mean, I still think all four of these teams are amazing teams. Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Villanova. I mean, they've been amazing programs for as long as I can remember. So I mean, it's just if you got to get hot at the end of the season and win some games, and then yeah, of course you can make an argument for saying they're the best team because they've won 5, 6, 7 games in a row already to get to this point. So I mean, all their teams are confident. They're feeling good about themselves. They all think they're going to win it. So I'm expecting some really good games. It's going to be really emotional seeing Duke and Carolina play in the Final Four. It's going to be a really cool experience. I'm excited to watch it. Coach K's final game is going to be crazy. Just the whole Final Four is going to be insane. I think Kansas has one of the best scoring guards in the country, which I'm really excited to see. Colin Gillespie on Villanova is one of the best point guards in the country. They're amazing. Jay Wright as a head coach at Villanova is an amazing head coach. So I mean, there's just a bunch of really good basketball being played this weekend, so I'm really excited. I don't really know who's going to win, but I'm excited just to see some good games and hopefully the best team wins.
And that team not to be Duke.
I mean, I think it might be Duke, but I don't know.
No, I say it because they ask you in the pod which team
Yeah, I mean, I would
do
say
you
Duke is
hate?
definitely the most hated for sure, but I also think it would be a really cool experience to see Coach K kind of go out winning it one last time. You know, being a basketball fan, I think I kind of just naturally will root for that. But I mean, North Carolina is an amazing team. They're fantastic. Some of their guards they have, their bigs, they're just incredible. And then first year head coach of Hubert Davis is really exciting as well. So I mean, I really can't argue or disagree with anything. Like any team that wins, I think I'll be happy for them. So I mean, I'm just excited to watch the games as a fan.
Also, this year we don't have any Cinderella. Other years we have some small college underdog, and we all go with that.
Yeah.
Because we always say that then in the US, normal you are from the your alma mater, the college that you went or is near from you more than of NBA team. It's not like here in Europe that you are from a club and you root for that club. But when the time of the Final Four it's ahead, uh, you have to. I don't know you, but I need to choose one team. I can't watch a basketball game without wanting one team to win.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. For me personally, I think I'm naturally going to end up just rooting for Duke because I do want to see Coach K succeed. And also, one of my cousins goes to school there. So I've been texting him. He's super excited. He says the whole campus is super excited. So I'll probably naturally just root for Duke a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, I love Villanova. Colin Gillespie is amazing. I love watching him play. And North Carolina has his point guard, Caleb Love, who's really, really good. So I kind of might just – I don't know. I really don't know who I'm going to root for. I might just root for an overtime finish and just hope there's a lot of points scored and there's some game winner at the end. I think that's what I'll end up rooting for, I think.
Rooting for being witness of history.
Yeah.
Jimmy Buckets is asking if I can introduce you again to the audience that is just joining. We are talking with Max Thorpe, NCAA player from Florida State, Coach Thorpe's son. And we have to say that you are proud of your dad. So
yeah, for sure.
You are as great as him.
I wouldn't go that far just yet.
Yeah, I knew that I'm going to enjoy this interview, and I'm doing it. So how do you say it in the US that the apple don't fall far away from the tree?
Yeah.
Here is different. It's like I don't know how to say in English. It's it's also with the tree that a little branch is similar from the tree.
Yeah.
They're asking if you are going to go to the draft next year.
No. I will not be.
You're thinking in a you say before in a full career, 2 degrees and 5-6 years in Florida State. We talk about the Final Four and the teams. It's time now to talk about the players. We came from 2021 draft that is full of talent. Maybe in some years from now, we can put this draft among all that great drafts, 84, 96, 03. How is this 22 draft in terms of talent? How can you say it?
I think it's really interesting because this is the first draft that I can really remember where almost all the top prospects are big men. So I think that's really interesting because I can't really remember the last time like 2 or 3 big men got drafted in the top 5. So I'm really excited to see how that plans out. I mean, I think there's some really special prospects. I think Jabari Smith and Paulo Banchero and then Chet Holmgren are all fantastic big men. And then Jaden Ivey, I think, is the best guard in the class coming out of Purdue. He's fantastic. He's probably just as athletic as Russell Westbrook. So I think he has a really good chance to be a really long-term good player in the NBA. And there's just a bunch of big men, I would say, for sure. I would say if you want to like really pay attention to the draft, there's gonna be a lot of big men getting picked in the first round. I think there's just been a lot of bigs that have proven that can really guard the ball, block shots, finish, rebound, dunk. Some of them can really shoot it. So I think the NBA is going to try to snag up some big men, and we might see a change in the way the game's played a little bit if a bunch of big men kind of get picked and might start playing through the post a little bit. You don't really know, but that's one thing I think I'm excited to see how it turns out, just to see all these bigs get drafted. And then in the summer league this summer, I'm excited to see them kind of go head-to-head and match up and play against each other in the summer league in Las Vegas. So that's one thing I'm excited for sure.
Mm-hmm. You talked about Banchero, about Jabari Smith. You talk about Jaden Ivey. You played against him.
Yeah, I played against Paulo, and I played against Jaden Ivey this year.
How can you describe them?
I think Paulo Banchero is the best player in the draft. He's just 6'10". He's legit 6'10". His body's NBA ready. You know, he's a grown man at 19 years old. I think already enough. That's impressive as it is. Just genetics. He's ready to go play in the NBA and play a long 82-game season and dominate. I think he can really shoot the ball. He can really handle. He can really pass. He's a smart player. He's strong, and I think he's fantastic. And I mean, he's shown all of the season what he can do. He can really score it. He can will his team to win games, and he's a good leader. And I think he's really impressive. And then Jaden Ivey, he's a really special player, super athletic, super fast. One of the fastest players I think I've ever seen in my life. Just getting up and down the court, can really pass the ball, really score it. Will dunk on just about anyone underneath the rim, and he can really shoot the ball too. So that's been his biggest issue, I think, because he's a sophomore. Jaden Ivey's a sophomore. Last season as a freshman, I think he struggled to shoot the ball a little bit, but this year he shot the ball at a much better clip. I think 37%, maybe even a little bit higher. So that's one thing I think he's really worked on, and I think he's a really special player. I think both of them are really special players, and they're probably going to go lottery pick, probably top 5, I would say. And I think they're going to be really good players in the NBA.
Jimmy Buckets is asking which team do you think they fit better?
So what team do you think they'll get drafted to, or like what team?
No. If you have to choose and say forget about the draft, and you can put both players in the team they fit better. In which team you put which one? It's a nice question.
That is a good question. I would say for Paulo, I think a good spot for him might be in Houston. I mean, they just got Jalen Green. They have Sengun at center. So I think Paulo can get in, start, play a lot of minutes as a rookie. And I think that's the best thing for him, just going to a team where he can kind of be the face of the team with a bunch of young stars. And I think try to form a young group and start building a dynasty that way. And then with Jaden Ivey, I think you can really put Jaden Ivey just on about any team. I mean, he's a really good combo guard. He can play the 1 and he can play the 2. So, I mean, if I'm thinking about it, I would have to think about some teams that are struggling. I would probably say like maybe Washington could really use Ivey to go alongside Bradley Beal. I mean, I haven't really put too much thought into it, but any team that really looking for a scoring guard, I think Ivey's the pick right there.
Jimmy says no way in Houston he will be wasted. No balls for him.
I mean, yeah, Houston's struggling, but you never know. They could always turn around. It just takes one draft pick. You never know.
I think that Jimmy wants Garuba to play in Houston because he's Spanish, and maybe for his friend Bigo. We didn't talk about Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, he's really good. Super talented. He's skinny, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what all the critics will say. Oh, he's too weak to play. It doesn't matter. If you can go hoop, you can go hoop. You know, he's super tall. He's got so much skill around the rim. Will dunk on anyone, blocks any shot, and he can shoot the 3, which is extremely impressive. I mean, I think he's gonna be a really good, really long NBA player. I think he's gonna dominate in a few years in the league. Be one of the best centers for sure. You can just see the skill he's got. He can handle the rock. I mean, 7'1", 7'2", whoever height he is, like that's really impressive. And you can't teach that. So I think, I mean, he's going to be a top 3 pick, and whichever team gets him is going to be lucky to get him for sure.
Mm-hmm. And is there any player that is not because we talk about Banquero, we talk about Ivy, we talk about Holmgren, but is there any player that you think the media is not talking too much about this guy, and I think this guy is really gonna make it in the NBA?
If I had to say there's one player, I would probably go with I'm gonna go with 2. There's 2 guards that I saw this year that are really good, that aren't talked about as much as some of these other guys. And one of them is a comma guard from Notre Dame, Blake Wesley. Super explosive, just can really score the ball at any spot. He's gonna score the ball, and he's so fast and athletic. He's really hard to stay in front of. So I would say Blake Wesley, I think, needs a little bit more hype. And then the other one is Caleb Love out of North Carolina. He's their starting 2 guard, but he can play the 1. He plays both positions. He just had 30 points the other night, I think, against I don't remember what Baylor. I think he had 30 against Baylor, but it could have been Marquette. I'm not sure. He had 30 points though in like the second half. It was ridiculous. He's just amazing. Can score the ball. Really shoots it. Super bouncy. I think he's really good, and a lot of people don't really talk about him, but I think he's a top guard in this class, no question.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy is on fire. Asking, telling things in the chat. Danny Gea, my part, he's part of NBAdictos too. Want to know what would you prefer, playing in Europe or in China?
To me personally, I think playing in Europe would be really cool, just because there's so many different countries. So I think you'd be able to see the world a little bit more. I mean, China would also be amazing. I think I would love both places. But I think for me personally, I think if I went to Europe, I could see so many different European countries, which I haven't seen before, which I think would be really exciting for me. But China would also be incredible as well.
Mm-hmm. You will be welcome in Santiago, in Obradoiro, and you will learn with one of the best coaches in Europe, is Moncho Fernandez. Ask your dad about him.
Okay.
He knows him.
I will.
Is great, and also they build NBA players. Maxi Kleber played in Obradoiro. Mike Muscala. Salah Mary, a lot of different players go there. Danny says maybe Russia. No,
I don't know about Russia. I don't know about
there. Danny just ask you what I was going to ask you to end about your professional life as a player before going to a game. So I'm going to switch my last question. We were talking before you arrived in Twitch with my other partner Sergio Gimon. We talk about Indiana Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder's seasons, and I wonder, you want to be a GM. How do you see what the Thunder, for example, are doing, collecting picks for the till the end of days?
Yeah.
I think that there's some 2055 pick there, because I don't get it completely, because I know that you have to rebuild if you are in a small market, but I think that you have to look for a middle point.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying, and I think with the Thunder, with their goal in mind, to me personally, I think what they're trying to do is, one, they're trying to get as many picks as possible, just because you don't know what talent you might end up getting. So you might, like look at Jokic. He went late in the second round, and no one thought he's going to turn out to the player he is now. So I think the Thunder have that in mind, where they think, they might just get a few guys that slip through the cracks that ends up turning the whole team around. But also, I think something that's really important for them is, being a small market team, they don't have a lot of money to spend, unlike like the Los Angeles Lakers or the Clippers or the Knicks, who have so much more money. So by stocking up on draft picks, you're kind of just saving some salary cap. You're getting rid of you're trading guys with a lot of salary in return for picks. So you're kind of just saving some money, and by saving money, they can sign some better players, some young guys. They can re-sign Shea Gillius to a bigger contract. So I think that's probably what they're trying to do a little bit as well. Just trying to save some cap, load up on picks, and then you never know what those picks might turn out to be. I mean, they might turn into a top 3 pick one day, and you don't even know. So I think they're just trying to just invest into that and kind of hope some good luck comes out of those picks, and they can get some good players or trade it for some good talent.
As a future GM, are you a fit guy or a talent guy when we talk about drafting? Because I'm in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Galician, and normally they say about Galician people that we don't know if we are going up or going down, and we always say it depends. And this is my point of view. If I have a team that is ready to make the next step, I will look for fit. But if I'm rebuilding, I will look for talent. How do you see that choice?
I agree exactly with what you said. I think I would say like 70-30. I think fit is a really important thing, like to have a guy that fits your culture, that can fit into your locker room, that won't cause any problems. I think that's like the most important part. But sometimes you kind of just got to go with the best talent available and work around it. So it definitely is a difficult situation to like balance and juggle. But I mean, you can make the argument either way. But I think what you hit it right on, where if you're rebuilding, sometimes you just got to go with the best player available and kind of rebuild around that. But if you're trying to contend for a championship or make the playoffs, whatever it may be, you got to get a guy that can jump on the team, be friends with everyone, not cause any problems, not be late to practice, whatever it may be, play their role the way they need it to be played, and go from there.
I don't know if you are in a hurry or you have a couple of minutes more.
I'm good.
Okay. If you don't mind, I would like to talk a little bit about NBA. The show is called NBAdictos. So, how do you see this season? And we're approaching the end of the regular season, and the time we love the most, the playoffs. I think it's great to have the playing, because normally March and April were times where half of the or at least 8 or 10 teams have the season done, and we have a lot of garbage games. How do you see this season and this end with so many teams in the same position?
I love it. I think the playing games is awesome because it gives 4 more teams an opportunity to make the playoffs. 2 more teams in both standings, East and West Coast. So I really like it. I think it makes the games a lot more competitive. Like you're not playing for an 8 spot, you're playing for a 10 spot. So any team right on the bubble, they're trying to win every game down the road because they all want an opportunity to play in the playoffs. That's a huge deal for the team in general. Being experience wise, like playing playoff games is way different than the NBA season, but also team wise, you're bringing in a lot more money, and you're building your fan base. So I think it's really I really like the playing games because I just think first off, like more fans will start watching the games, which I think helps the NBA and basketball, but also just it makes the games a little bit more competitive, and it makes the season a little bit more competitive down the line, because when teams are playing and their positions aren't changing and they're just going to go to the draft and they don't really care who wins and loses, the games, like you said, they're not really that fun to watch. So by having a playing game at the end of the playing tournament at the end of the season, I think it just makes it a little bit more competitive and a lot more, as a fan, a lot more fun to watch.
And how do you see this season? Do you have any favorite? Because Phoenix Suns are way ahead of the second best team in the regular season, but the playoffs are another thing.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. I still don't know who's gonna win it. You know, I think there's so many great teams this season. It's kind of shocking to me how good so many different teams are. I don't even know what to expect. I mean, me personally, I like the Miami Heat. Just being from Florida, I have family down there. You know, when D Wade and LeBron and Chris Bosh were all together, Ray Allen, that was super fun to root for. So I'm gonna root for the Heat this playoffs. I think they have a chance to win the whole thing, but I mean, the Bucks are amazing. I think Philadelphia, they're really good. James Harden, Joel Embiid, I think are brilliant basketball players. And then the West Coast, you know, Phoenix is incredible. And then you got Memphis, who kind of came out of nowhere with John Morant, and they just kind of proven everyone wrong. I think they're really good. Denver's amazing. They got, I think, the MVP of Jokic on the team. I also really like Boston. I mean, Boston's starting to just heat up right now and just – I think they're really on a roll. So I think there's so many great teams that I don't really know what to expect. I just hope there's a bunch of game sevens in the playoffs and we just get as much basketball as possible.
I have to ask you, you mentioned the Miami Heat. Knowing, I guess you have relationship with Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
We have to talk about that. I don't know how to call it.
Their confrontation at timeout.
That situation between Jimmy Butler, Coach Espo, and Udonis Haslem. Do you think everyone in the team said that that's normal? Bam Adebayo said, "Well, you have if you were in the trainings, that's something we are used to." Do you think it's something that can affect the team? Because at the time that it happened, they were first in the East. Then they lose like 4 games in a row. It's always delicate when something like this happens, but in March it's worst.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely an interesting topic. I think like just from what I can tell, I mean, you know, the Miami Heat, their culture is a bunch of tough, hard-nosed, really good physical players. So Jimmy Butler's been known to kind of lash out and really challenge people, and Udonis Haslem's the same way. So I think it's just some competitive guys that were just upset that they were losing, and they just kind of got into a little bit of an argument. You know, it is what it is. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I think Coach Spo and Pat Riley, they know what they're doing down there in Miami. I think they got a bunch of super competitive guys, and they all just really want to win. And sometimes, you know, when you lose a few games in a row, you know, people can kind of get upset, and you know, feelings can get hurt, and you know, tensions arise. So I think it's not too much to worry about. I think Miami's gonna be fine. I think they're all like the way like their culture is in Miami, you know, like they're friends outside of basketball, and you can see that the way they interact with each other in the locker room and in interviews and stuff like that. I think it's cool to see. So I think Miami will be all right. I think they're just super like emotional, and they really want to win, and they might have to fight if they need to fight, but they'll get it done at the end of the day, and they're really gonna play hard. So I think it's just they were just arguing about just something that happened in the game. I don't think there's anything too much about it. I think they're just a really physical team, and I think that's okay.
And if they end fighting, I won't bet against Udonis.
Yeah, I would bet for Udonis Haslem for sure. I don't think anyone really wants to mess with Udonis Haslem.
Tell me, who do you think will play the finals?
I don't know. There's just so many good teams. I think in the West it's probably going to be Phoenix. You know, it would be really cool to see Chris Paul get a ring. So I'll probably root for Phoenix out West, and then I think in the East, you know, I want to root for Miami, but I think Boston or Philadelphia is gonna come out of the East. I think those are the two best teams right now. But I mean, Brooklyn has a chance. I mean, if Kyrie Irving back for the playoffs, I mean, they got some superstars that can really score the ball. The only thing is the whole season they're questionable defensively. But I think because of that, Boston either just Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they're just incredible basketball players. So I think they got a really good chance. And then Philadelphia, just Joel Embiid, one of the best centers in the league, and then James Harden, one of the best scorers in the league. So those two teams I think are gonna be the front runners for me in the East, and then in the West, I'm gonna go with Phoenix just because I want to see Chris Paul get a championship.
Danny asks, where would you like to take your talents? Which is or Florida or LA or Big Apple? You are a really Florida guy.
Yeah, I'm a Florida guy. I do love Florida. I don't know if I could ever see myself leaving. Just the beaches, the temperature. I love everything about it. But I mean, I really don't care personally, like where I would go work. I mean, I think traveling the world would be amazing. So any big city to me personally is something I'd be okay with.
Pat Riley has to retire someday.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's gonna be
I would be honored to take over his position. You know, that'd be cool. Live in Miami.
Max, hope you enjoyed the interview.
Thank you.
For my part, is great. I really enjoyed it, and if you like it, I promise to bother you in the future.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. This is your house.
Thank you.
Bueno, nos vamos. Lo dicho, la entrevista la traduciremos, la doblaremos y la tendréis publicada tanto en inglés como en castellano. Un saludo.